for the serious gamer.
What's going on, guys? It's Colin, and I'm bringing you a game of Rush Attack on the map White Pass here for Next Gen Tactics. This is a map that I haven't covered before, and in reality, it's one that I haven't really played all that much. So the tips and tactics and strategies that I discuss here are very much a work in progress on my part, and as I come up with new ideas, I will have to be sure to update my video strategies here for NGT. And right off the bat, what we like to do is try and take this far left route before the enemy has a chance to really dig in their heels. This first base, all the fighting happens in one building for both MCOM stations, and if the defenders manage to set up shop before you're able to make any kind of a move, then it's going to be a long game for you. And what I've done right here is I've just kind of frozen the video to highlight this guy's gamer tag, Fatty Ooge, which is it's kind of funny, and the fact that he's running a shotgun, because that is going to come into play later. Luckily, I have a squad mate on the ball who is running medic and picks me up. So we have already taken the Bravo station, and now we're kind of in a fight for Alpha. And this game, this map is typically won or lost on the first base, from what I've seen, because the fighting is so intense inside of this building. So what you really want to try and do is cut off the defenders outside before they have a chance to swarm the building and disarm the MCOM stations. Right here I'm waiting because I know this medic's coming through the gap in the fence and I want to take him out. And he had already damaged me a little bit, so I'm going to just pick up his kit, throw myself down a health pack. And there are two choke points that I found you can defend in order to keep them out. And one is this break in the fence on the back side of the building, and the other one is the front door. And because I can see that my team has the lower level and the front door pretty well covered, I'm going to step up here and try and defend the hole in the fence. So I do get one enemy, and right now we have Alpha armed, so things are looking pretty good, and we've managed to push the defense back. In a second here, you'll see why I paused my killer cam before and highlighted the gamer tag. Here comes this guy again, and I currently need to reload my primary weapon, and I switch to my handgun, but right here I don't move. He takes me out, and I really should have been expecting him to come back with a shotgun because he was running one before. And granted, it was a different model of shotgun this time, but a shotgun nonetheless. So I should have probably handled that encounter differently. Anyway, that's cool. We do manage to hold them off, and we take down Alpha, and we're going to move on to the second base. And this is one where I kind of found an interesting location to help on the attack. I'm just kind of taking in the scenery, waiting for the base to become available, because again, as I said, I think this was maybe my second or third time attacking on this map. So when in doubt, I like to try and flank, and in this case, just because of the positioning when the base became available, I decide I'm going to go explore the left-hand side and see what I can come up with for an effective strategy, because again, we don't have any defined roles or routes or anything for this map developed yet. It's just kind of a feeling out process. And here you can see I'm just kind of taking my time and scoping it out just to try and determine what the major threat areas are. In a previous game I did encounter defenders shooting out of that tower, so I wanted to check that out and just make sure that that was clear. And I'm just going to keep pushing up the left-hand flank. And as you can see right here, I have actually pushed beyond the MCOM stations. And rather than start shooting that enemy out in the open, I did try and duck behind cover so that if I wound up in a sticky situation, I could kind of hide behind that dumpster. So right here, I'm beyond the MCOMs, and Alpha is armed, and I'm basically trying to look back at it. And I've called this out to my team to basically let me know if they need me to hop in the action, but I've found a spot that's going to give us a pretty good mobile spawn location. So I want to try and hold this down as long as possible. And if you've watched my other videos, you realize that normally I am in and around the MCOM stations on Rush, but in this situation, you know, where I had sort of stumbled on this location, I was like, all right, let's see what we can do from here. And even though they're getting the stations disarmed, we still have plenty of tickets left, and we're in a great spot. So coming up here shortly, they are going to get onto our location and come after me, so I am going to have to move on. But if you're playing like this and providing the mobile spawn point, and you're up beyond the MCOM stations, it's really important, again, to spot out enemies and call out incoming defenders to your teammates. Getting kills is great, but really, you know, providing a recon role, even though I'm running the assault kit, is equally important. And you've probably seen other videos where we will go in and sort of rush plant these stations, and we're taking a different approach here, and what we're trying to do is establish map control in and around this base before we finally go in and arm. And some of the teammates had gone in and armed the stations, but before our squad actually gets in there, we are going to try and lock down the map. And right here now, I've found their spawn point, and I have eyes on it. And you can see that I've already killed an enemy, a medic picks him up, and somebody else just ducked around the corner. But I myself now have 3 enemies occupied and have killed a couple more. So we have pretty good control on the map at this point, so we're probably going to start taking down the stations anytime. And one of my squad mates does pick me up. He's running the medic kit, which is great. And I'm able to duck back out here and keep occupying them. And because they know that we're back in towards their spawn, they're distracted, and that enables us to basically keep them from heading towards the MCOM stations because they want to clean us up first. And that works out to our advantage. So I realize that I'm basically spawn killing them here, but if you're playing against a decent defensive team, and I'm not saying these guys were the best, but they certainly weren't bad. It is really important to kind of understand the defensive spawn points and be able to try and control them and control the map and the base in general. Otherwise, it's just going to be a yo-yo of you arming stations and them disarming, and eventually they're going to win. So, what we've done here is pushed back beyond the MCOM stations. I've tried to establish some control in and around their spawn area and prevent them from going after the armed MCOM stations, and that works out. So after a few arms and disarms, we are able to eventually take down both sets, and we're moving on to the last base. And White Pass is actually a rush map that only has 3 bases, kind of like Sentes. So as I said before, the game is pretty much won and lost on the first base, unless you encounter a really good defensive team that just didn't manage to get their act together on the first base. Because other than those first 2 stations, the rest of them are indestructible buildings. So after a long firefight around the station, you're going to find that the buildings are going to collapse and the MCOMs are destroyed anyway. So whether that's by design of the attacking team or it's just a function of a hard-fought battle for the station, eventually they do tend to fall. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're defending. Try and get in the game and set up as quickly as possible on the first base. Otherwise, you're going to probably have a lot of difficulty later on. And now what I've done is moved up to the final base. I moved around behind just to make sure that there were no defenders in the immediate vicinity, and I'm going to arm the station here at Bravo. Now, what I do is switch over to my 40mm shotgun, and I am able to take out the first guy who charges up the stairs. What I should have done was taken the time to reload my 40mm shotgun. I switched to my handgun, which needs to be reloaded, but I don't. And now I'm basically out of ammo. I have no way to defend myself against the third defender who's able to come in and disarm. So without the help of my team, I'm not able to take that down by myself. And it's generally a bad idea to try and defend an armed MCOM station by camping in the room with it, especially if you sit there and don't change location like I just did. Fortunately, we were able to, again, split the defense. We had both stations armed at the same time. They came after Bravo, and we were able to take down Alpha. So right here I run a really stupid route. I run right up the middle. I get killed. I kind of faded through that, but anyway, not very smart on my part. So I'm going to spawn on a squad mate, and now we're on the right-hand flank. And what we're trying to do is, again, just try and control and clear out the enemy spawn, and push and try and take Bravo. Now, what I didn't really know at this point was where the spawn locations would be for the defenders, and they seem to spawn up this road to my right, and they seem to like to congregate in behind the wood piles, and that may also be a spawn point. So what I do right here is I have an enemy spotted. I'm failing. Eventually I do get the headshot, but I should probably realize that I'm spotted. So sticking my head up here again is a bad idea, and I get it shot off. So anyway, that's a mistake on my part. Luckily, we're still able to maintain a presence back here in and around their spawn area to flank them. But we basically jump down into the hornet's nest, and I'm only able to take out one defender until I get mowed down. So anyway, we don't successfully actually launch an attack on Bravo, and just as I'm about to spawn in, I hear the buildings start to fall down. So anyway, that's the end of the round. We do take down the win. Not a bad game on my part. Hope you enjoyed. Cheers. Talk soon.